Hello! Today I will be demonstrating the differences between a good and bad Dungeons and Dragons character. A good character is a fleshed out character, while a bad character isn't as fleshed out. When I'm using the terms good and bad for characters, I am referring to the building of the characters rather than the moral standing of the characters. The main attributes that can make or break a character are as follows: background/backstory, statistics, attitude, and physical characteristics. These attributes are the basics of building a character in Dungeons and Dragons, commonly called D&D. I will demonstrate these traits by building two character sheets using version 5. If you wish to follow along, feel free to do so. I will be using paper sheets, but a platform called D&D Beyond can also aid in building character sheets. I will only be using the base game for my characters, but feel free to use homebrew content. I will also remind you that part of being a good D&D character is being a good player. A bad player can destroy a well-built character, but we're going to remove that factor for now. Now that we've got the basics out of the way, let us begin. I will be naming the good character Blorbo Bleepus and the bad character Mary Sue. Both characters will be simple level 1s. Now, let's get out the dice and a dice roller if you have it. Backgrounds are a great place to start once you've chosen your race, alignment, and character class. If you use D&D Beyond, they will give you prompts for your character building. Let's start with the background for Blorbo Bleepus. He's a chaotic evil wizard with a background of criminality. He started his reign of terror when he lost his home and mother to a house fire. He's been living in squalor ever since. The fire pushed him to refuse friendships and lean towards the occult in an attempt to gain immortality. He does not care who he hurts, so long as he's given forsaken knowledge or gold. Now let's head over to Mary Sue's background. She's a lawful good cleric with a background as a librarian. She believes that all people are born good and have good within them, no matter how they seem to others. Obviously, there are some major differences between the two already. Mary Sue only states a very basic blanket statement as her background, while Blorbo Bleepus has a complex background that rounds him as a character and gives better explanation for his actions. Mary Sue has little ability to explain her actions within the story. Now we go on to the statistics, commonly referred to as stats. Stats are in two categories, mental and physical. These are how a character can do basic actions like talk to people and fight. Let's show how these characters differ in this regard. Backgrounds often can fuel how the stats will look. Let's once again start with Blorbo Bleepus. He is a criminal, and thus he would have to be strong, nimble, and charismatic. He has high charisma and strength with medium dexterity and constitution. He has less within his intelligence and wisdom stats. Due to being a criminal, Blorbo Bleepus has advantages in deception, intimidation, investigation, and stealth. The varying amounts within his skill set allows him to either grow as a character or have to come up with creative solutions during an encounter. We once again go over to Mary Sue. She has a background as a librarian. Her stats are level across the board, so that way she doesn't have a low point within some of her skills. She has slight advantages in arcana, history, medicine, perception, and religion. She is a rigid character, leading to difficulty in growth and creativity. Mary Sue may not have any negatives in her bonuses, but she still feels plain as a character. Blorbo Bleepus will have to get creative when it comes to wisdom or intelligence, or hope that he manages to roll high. Mary Sue can hope to roll high, but she will not have as many creative decisions due to how her stats are. The next two sections are linked with the characters' backstories, so they will be a bit simpler. Attitude is how a character views something, often what causes them to go for or against something. Blorbo Bleepus would have a negative connotation with being in groups or fire, but would see the potential riches or goal for adventures as worth the burden. He may not like his party members or care for their safety, but his attitude could potentially shift over time. Blorbo Bleepus would still keep his party alive, but safety would be a lower priority than looting a body. Mary Sue would believe that all party members are going to bring some good to the party. She might not be able to comprehend that some party members are going to cause negative events to occur. Both characters have an attitude to go on an adventure, but Mary Sue would simply go along with anything, while Blorbo Bleepus would have conflicts and potential resolutions in a character arc. Mary Sue might have a harder time willing to fight or push herself due to having a less driven attitude. Finally, we'll discuss physical attributes. When I refer to these, it's how the character physically looks, like whether a character is big or small. This is used to understand how a character would look like amidst their surroundings, like a 10-foot tall orc would have to be aware of doorways, a 2-foot tall goblin would have to be aware of all taller characters. A lack of physical description can lead to a character having a type of fluidity that can be frustrating. Let's start with Mary Sue this time. Mary Sue is an elf with blonde hair, blue eyes, and graceful robes. While understanding how the character looks in terms of hair color, race, eyes, and clothing can be useful, it's not much of a description. Questions like can she fit into this space or can she hide behind a trash can are difficult to know. Let's move on to Blurboblebus. He's a 4'3" tiefling with sickly green skin, dark red eyes, a scrawny looking frame, and a singular tuft of black hair. Blurboblebus has a description that means he can know if he can fit into spaces. His frame means that he could get into places that bigger characters can't get into. It would also mean that he is distinct within his surroundings. As the categories have displayed, a character with a good backstory, statistics, attitude, and physical description make more intriguing stories. Blurboblebus is better written than Mary Sue and has a lot more choices for character arcs throughout the campaign. Of course, Mary Sue isn't the worst character sheet either. Some players try to make their characters godlike, which defeats the purpose of the adventure. Sometimes the issue with a character has nothing to do with the sheet itself, but the player playing it. A bad player can destroy a well-written character. A bad player will do things outside of what their characters would potentially do, or even completely derail the campaign in some cases. A bad player might make Blurboblebus burn immortality books, or make Mary Sue burn an orphanage. No amount of storytelling can undo a bad player's actions. The type of player who chooses chaotic neutral and then just does stuff simply to mess with the party or make situations worse because why not, is never going to seem like a well-built character. Good players can also make a poorly written character sheet into something, so long as they stick to an image. At the end of the day, Dungeons & Dragons is supposed to be a creative outlet for people. So use the given criteria to make a character sheet and have a fun adventure.